Emily Harper had always believed in happy endings. At 32, she had the life most of her friends back in Ohio envied. She'd moved to Chicago 10 years ago for grad school, fell in love with the city's energy and never left. Lincoln Park was home now, tree-lined streets, brownstone row houses, coffee shops on every corner. She taught third grade at Prescott Elementary, where kids called her Ms. Harper with that adorable Midwestern lisp. And then there was Jake. Jake Harper, no relation before marriage, just one of those cosmic jokes. They'd met at a rooftop party in Wrigleyville 5 years ago. He was tall, charming, with that easy laugh that made everyone feel like they were in on the secret. He worked downtown as a senior account manager for a marketing firm, pulling in good money, always talking about the next big campaign. They got married at the Chicago History Museum, surrounded by string lights and Lake Michigan views. 2 years later, they bought a 3-bedroom brownstone on Cleveland Avenue, fixer-upper charm. Exposed brick, original hardwood floors. And now the cherry on top. Emily was 5 months pregnant. She rubbed her belly absent-mindedly as she sat in the waiting room at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. It was a crisp October morning, the kind where the air smelled like fallen leaves and possibility. She wore a soft gray sweater that hugged her bump perfectly, leggings and ankle boots, the uniform of pregnant Chicago women who refused to give up style. Jake was supposed to be here for the anatomy scan, but he'd texted an hour ago. Jake Redhart, stuck in a client meeting downtown. Big pitch for the new Subaru account. Go without me, babe. Take lots of pics. Love you both. She smiled at the phone, typed back a heart emoji. That was Jake, always hustling. He'd been working late a lot lately, but she understood. They wanted the best for their kid. Private preschool, college fund already started. Maybe even a second home up in Wisconsin one day. Emily Harper? The nurse called her name. Maria was warm mid-40s with kind eyes and a Boston accent that stood out in Chicago. She led Emily to the ultrasound room, chattering about the unseasonably warm fall. Emily lay back, cold gel on her skin, and watched the screen come alive. There it was, their baby. Tiny arms waving, legs kicking. A strong heartbeat thumping like a drum. Everything looks perfect, Maria said, smiling. Strong heartbeat, good measurements. Do you want to know the gender? Emily hesitated. They'd agreed to be surprised, but Jake wasn't here. No, let's stick to the plan. Maria nodded, printing out photos. But then her smile faltered. She glanced at the door, then back at Emily. Is something wrong? Emily asked, sitting up. Maria lowered her voice. Nothing with the baby. But I recognize your husband. Emily frowned. From where? Maria pulled out her phone, scrolled for a moment, then turned it toward Emily with visible reluctance. The photo made Emily's blood run cold. It was Jake, her Jake, leaning over a hospital bed in this very wing. He was holding a woman's hand, whispering in her ear, his face soft and intimate. The woman was pale, hooked to and for, recovering. And that woman was Lauren. Lauren Harper, Jake's older brother Mike's wife. Emily's throat closed. When was this? About 5 weeks ago, Maria whispered. She was here for a D&C procedure. Termination after miscarriage, or elective. Your husband stayed the whole time. He called her baby. Said, we'll try again when it's safer. I remember because, well, it's not every day you see that. Emily stared at the screen until it blurred. 5 weeks ago, Jake had been in New York for a conference. He'd come home exhausted, said the flight was delayed. Crashed for 14 hours. She thanked Maria in a voice that didn't sound like her own, gathered the ultrasound photos, and walked out on legs that felt like jelly. The drive home was a blur. Lakeshore Drive, the skyline gleaming under gray clouds. She parked in their garage, sat in the car for 20 minutes just breathing. That night, Jake came home at 9:30, smelling faintly of bourbon and conference rooms. Hey babe, he called, hanging his coat. How'd it go? Is our little linebacker doing flips? Emily forced a smile from the kitchen, where she was pretending to chop vegetables. Perfect. Healthy. Kicking like crazy. He came up behind her, arms around her waist, hands on her belly. That's my kid. She wanted to scream. Instead, she said, you missed a good one. Guilt flashed across his face, brief but there. I know. I'm sorry. Next time, I swear. They ate dinner in near silence. He talked about work. She nodded. Later in bed, he reached for her, but she pretended to be asleep. The next day, while Jake was at the office, Emily did something she'd never done in 7 years together. She opened his laptop. The password was still their wedding date. She started simple browser history. Hotel sites. A reservation at the Thompson, Chicago, not New York. Flowers delivered. To an address in Wicker Park. Lauren's yoga studio. Then emails. Her heart stopped. There were dozens. From Jake to Lauren. Intimate. Explicit. Loving. Can't stop thinking about last night. You're incredible. I hate sneaking around, but seeing you makes everything worth it. We have to be careful now that Em's pregnant. But after the baby. And one from 5 weeks ago. I'm so sorry, baby. I know it hurts. But we couldn't keep it. Not with Emily this far along. The family would never recover. We'll try again. Promise. Emily closed the laptop, sat on the floor of his home office, and cried silent, heaving sobs that shook her entire body. Lauren had been pregnant with Jake's child, and he'd convinced her to abort it, to protect their perfect life. Emily didn't confront him. Not yet. She'd learned something teaching third graders. Impulsive reactions rarely solved anything. You gathered facts. You stayed calm. You made a plan. First, she went back to the hospital. Not for an appointment. She called Maria directly, got her personal number from a grateful text. They met at a coffee shop in Old Town. I can't give you official records, Maria said quietly. HIP. But I can tell you what I saw. And I made copies of security footage from public areas. For situations like this. She slid a USB drive across the table. Emily went home and watched it all. Grainy hallway footage. Jake arriving with Lauren, arm around her waist as she walked slowly post-procedure. Him kissing her forehead in the recovery waiting area. Whispering. Holding her while she cried. Then financials. Emily accessed their joint accounts. Something she rarely did. Hotel charges at the Pendry, the Langham. Dinners at Alinea, RPM Steak. Places they never went together anymore. Cash withdrawals. Gifts. She took screenshots. Printed everything. Then Lauren showed up. It was a Thursday afternoon. Emily was grading papers on the couch when the doorbell rang. Lauren stood there in Lululemon, eyes puffy, Starbucks cup shaking in her hand. Can I come in? Emily stepped aside without a word. They sat in the living room. The same room where they'd hosted baby shower planning just last month. Lauren didn't waste time. I know you know. Emily waited. It started last year, Lauren said, voice breaking. Mike cheated on me. With his secretary. Classic. I was devastated. Jake was there for me, listening, bringing wine, checking in. One night we were drunk. It just happened. Emily's voice was steel. And the baby? Lauren looked down. It was Jake's. I wanted to keep it. But he said, with you pregnant it would destroy everything. Mike would leave me. Your parents-in-law would disown us. The family would fracture. He said we couldn't do that to you. Or the kids. Emily laughed, a bitter, sharp sound. So he protected me by forcing you to kill his child? Lauren flinched. He didn't force me. He convinced me. Said we'd try again later. After your baby was born. When things calmed down. Emily stood. Get out. Lauren begged. Please don't tell Mike. Please. Emily didn't answer. Just opened the door. That night, Jake came home early for once. Brought flowers, lilies, her favorite. I've been a shitty husband lately, he said over takeout Thai. Too focused on work. But I'm cutting back hours. Starting next month. Emily smiled. Nodded. Inside she was ice. She started therapy secretly. Found a counselor in Evanston who specialized in betrayal trauma. Went twice a week while Jake thought she was at prenatal yoga. She opened a separate bank account. Transferred half the savings, legally hers too. Met with a divorce attorney recommended by a colleague. Top-rated. Shark. You have grounds, the lawyer said. Infidelity. Emotional abuse. We'll bury him. Emily wasn't ready yet. She needed the perfect moment. Thanksgiving. The Harper family Thanksgiving was legend. Jake's parents, Richard and Diane, hosted every year at their sprawling colonial in Oak Brook. 6 bedrooms, heated pool, Manicured lawn now covered in fall leaves. The whole family came. Mike and Lauren from Naperville, cousins from Milwaukee, Aunt Karen from Florida, grandparents. 23 people around a massive table. Turkey from a local farm. Diane's famous stuffing. Football on the massive TV. Emily arrived with Jake, carrying a casserole and a secret. She'd prepared everything. Printed emails. Photos. A slideshow on a USB drive. Dinner went as usual. Laughter. Stories. Jake carving the turkey like the golden sun. Lauren avoiding eye contact. Mike oblivious talking about his fantasy football team. Dessert came. Pumpkin pie. Apple crisp. Coffee. Emily stood. I have an announcement. All eyes turned. Jake smiled proudly. Probably thought she was revealing the gender. She walked to the TV, plugged in the USB. The screen lit up. First photo. Jake and Lauren at the hospital. Gasps. Next emails. Screenshots. Then the security footage, silent but devastating. Jake went white. What the hell? She didn't look at him. Kept clicking. Lauren started crying. Mike stared, mouth open. Diane clutched Richard's arm. Jacob, is this real? Emily spoke calmly. For over a year, my husband has been having an affair with his brother's wife. He got her pregnant. Convinced her to terminate the pregnancy to protect our family image. All while I was growing his child. Silence. Then chaos. Mike stood slowly. You what? Lauren sobbed. I'm sorry. Jake lunged for the remote. Emily stepped in front. Don't, she said quietly. Everyone deserves to know who you really are. Richard's voice boomed. Jacob Anthony Harper. Explain yourself. Jake stammered. It was a mistake. Stress from work. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything? Emily's voice rose for the first time. You made her abort your baby. To save face. Mike turned to Lauren. Is this true? Lauren nodded, broken. Mike walked out. Didn't slam the door. Just left. Diane cried. Cousins whispered. Someone's kid asked what abort meant. Jake grabbed Emily's arm in the hallway later. How could you do this? On Thanksgiving. She pulled away. How could you do this to us? Every day. He fell to his knees. Actually knelt. I'll do anything. Therapy. Quit my job. Anything. She looked down at him. It's too late. She left that night. Stayed at her sister Claire's in Evanston. The divorce was brutal. Jake fought dirty at first, tried to claim she was emotionally unstable due to pregnancy hormones. Her lawyer destroyed him. Presented texts where he'd called her needy during the affair. Bank records. Witnesses. He lost. Big. Emily got primary custody. Once the baby was born, the brownstone, he bought her out at above market value. Generous child support. He kept his 401k minus half. She gave birth in April. A girl. Ava Grace Harper. Claire was in the delivery room. Her mom flew in from Ohio. Friends from school. Jake wasn't invited. Ava was perfect, dark hair like Emily's, Jake's nose. But she was Emily's. Entirely. Summer came. Emily took maternity leave. Painted the nursery soft sage green. Hung photos of her and Ava, no Jake. She went back to teaching in fall. Ava in daycare at the school, best perk ever. Jake spiraled. Lost his job, affair became office gossip. Moved back with his parents. Lauren and Mike divorced quietly. Lauren moved to California. Mike started dating a nurse. Emily dated once or twice. Nothing serious. She was enough. 1 year later, on Ava's first birthday, Emily sat on the back porch of the brownstone. Hers now. Watching her daughter smash cake with tiny fists. Claire brought wine. You're incredible, you know that? Emily smiled. I just survived. No, Claire said. You thrived. Later that night, Emily wrote in her journal. Something her therapist suggested. I used to think love meant forever. Compromise. Forgiveness. But real love, the kind a mother has, is fierce. Protective. Unconditional. I forgave myself for not seeing it sooner. I forgave Jake for being human. But I'll never forgive him for making her choose. And I'll never let anyone dim my light again. She closed the journal. Looked out at the Chicago skyline twinkling in the distance. The city that broke her heart had also rebuilt her stronger, wiser, free. In America, we chase dreams. Perfect houses. Perfect families. But Emily Harper learned the real American dream. Independence. Strength. The unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. And the truth that some vows are meant to be shattered to make way for something real.